An offensive explosion tonight. Twins bounce back strong. They score 11. They avoid the sweep. We're breaking it all down next on the Locked On Twins postcast.
You are Locked On Twins postcast, part of Locked On Minnesota on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up? What's up? Back in the lab, back at it. Another Minnesota Twins postcast episode right here on the Locked On Sports Minnesota Network. Your team every day. You got myself, Luke Inman, at Luke_Spinman. That's the man, Theo Tollefson, at Theodore Tollef1. Give him a follow on X. And Theo, before we jump into all the action from tonight, quick reminder, tonight's episode brought to us by Prize Picks. Prize Picks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB. Use code, all lowercase, LockedOnMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Okay, game 3. You're trying to avoid the sweep. 7th game in a row on the road. Desperately need a night off tomorrow. Woods Richardson on the mound. He was his usual rock solid, Mr. Consistent, 1 earned run through 5 innings, 7 Ks on the night. And I got to tell you, it definitely helps when you finally get some run support too. Matt Wallner, he hit his 8th home run of the year. He had 3 RBIs. Austin Martin, 2 for 5. He had 3 ribbies. Royce Lewis, 2 ribbies. Larnach, Margot, Castro, each with an RBI as well. 11 runs scored on the night, 18 hits to go along with that. More than enough to give Jax, to give Duran the night off. That was huge. Okert came in, exercised some demons. We'll talk about that a little bit later as well. 11-4 your final. Losing streak snapped. Twins record now 71-56. Cleveland lost as well, so division lead back to 2.5. Give me your biggest takeaways as far as this offensive explosion goes and what really stuck out or what impressed you the most, and then we'll talk a little bit more about Woods Richardson tonight as well.
Yeah, how they kept everything consistent going, passing the baton along, and that 7-run 4th inning was huge. They absolutely needed that. They weren't just trying to hit for power. They were hitting into the gaps and really was making everything work for them. And that's what they needed after the last couple of days where, things were a little inconsistent. Sunday's game, they were hot right away and then cold till the 9th inning, and same thing on Monday night. Yesterday, a little better on the offense, but they ran themselves into out. So they needed a huge victory like that today. And Matt Wallner, of course, getting the one and only home run, but of course also getting hit by a pitch because he just tends to do that these days. So
he can't help it, man. That's just what he does. SWR, Simeon Woods Richardson, 5 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned, 2 walks, 7 Ks, 101 pitches. But pretty much the typical, rock solid, consistent as they come. 5 innings from him tonight, right? Like he almost is just lulling us to sleep at this point with just how consistent he's been in the best way possible. I mean that.
Yeah. And, they definitely needed him to pitch 5 no matter what. That's how he got his first ever 100 career pitch game, just 1 over. And, of course, the only run he gave up was to former friend Donovan Solano, which, of course, it just had to be an extra one who hit a home run off him for the fun and flavor of it all. But, yeah, I mean, it was what they needed. It would have been nice to see him go 6 if, things were looking a little bit better. But, I mean, it's the same thing like I'm seeing here in St. Paul tonight, just different results. Louis Varland had a high pitch count, and he had 6 pitches in the first inning and all on ground outs. And, the Yankees AAA affiliate caught up to him, and he's already out here in the top of the 6th. But besides the point, I mean, these guys are doing what they can to keep themselves within the game, keep their team within the lead. And fortunately, Woods Richardson was able to get a huge offensive boost to really keep him in there in that 5th inning. So they didn't have to pull him out a little too early and put the bullpen to extra work, even with the extra off day, because God knows they need it.
Desperately need that night off. Let's backtrack real quick to last night. I'm going to let you vent about the implosion in the 8th inning by Steven Okert, because CJ and I came on, obviously, right after the game. We were almost like still in shock. It almost felt like we hadn't truly digested what we just witnessed. I know the entire fan base was ready to, throw their remotes through their LED TVs. Who or what were you most upset about, though? Was it Rocco putting him out there in the first place or leaving him out there for so long, or what? What was it exactly that really irked you the most?
Well, you can't blame Rocco for putting him in the game in the first place because they were light on guys, and it was a close game. And I think there could have been a few more runs if those base running blunders didn't happen. But I was coming back from here at CHS Field last night, listening to the game on the radio, and it was really a matter of he left him in a little too long, and that's what really cost him. And Jerkson Profar, he used to be one of the top. He was the top prospect in baseball in 2013, and he's having the season many people were expecting him to when he was 21 years old, but more consistently than he has. I mean, I think that guy is going to be one of the top 3 or 5 finishers for the National League MVP this year. That's just how great of a season it's been for him. So him having a moment like that with how this Padres offense, it was just, the perfect storm of everything just hitting the fan. So, and that's what happened. I think if he was removed a little bit earlier, it could have been different and the game could have gone on a little bit longer. But at a certain point, when your reliever's getting batted around and you're not getting the results you want or need, then you got to pull him out. And I think that was more so on leaving him there longer because, again, it's not on Rocco who he chooses to put in that game, and then how they pitch is not directly impacted by Rocco's decision making. But
yeah, no, you're right.
Like, blame is when they leave him in for too long and they're clearly just being batted around.
Yeah, no, a lot of good points there, good breakdown. And I think that echoed what a lot of people were kind of venting about this morning as well. You can't just rely on Jackson Duran all the time, every night. That's just not how it works. Some of these other guys are going to have to put in some work too. But, you knew as soon as he came in, Okert last night, as soon as Okert came in, they were going to pinch hit a righty, which he's obviously, we all know the stats. He's atrocious against those righties. And bottom line, a lot of people are just saying, okay, this is inexcusable by Rocco. I want to know, was there any common themes or trends from the Okert implosion to the Alcala implosion just 2 nights prior? Like, did Rocco not learn his lesson 2 nights prior, and that's why people were so much more mad this time around? Or do you feel like those were 2 totally different scenarios?
I think it's just Okert's not had the best track record of late. I think his last 18 innings or so, it's been a 10 ERA. Yeah, it's been atrocious. So Alcala, you can't get as upset about because, I mean, he has been very consistent. He had been slowing down a bit, but his numbers were nowhere near what Okert's has been. And obviously, when you're going against all these teams that are also in playoff contention over the majority of the teams you're playing in the month of August are in playoff contention. Obviously, the White Sox not being one. Cardinals are looking like they're going to be out of it in this next series, but you still got the Braves ahead and the Padres right now. So, I mean, you got to put these guys into some high leverage spots because, again, it can't be Jax, Duran, or Alcala every night. And that's just what happened.
Yeah, no, you're right. And I mean, dude, we're in late August, man. There's just no games anymore you can just give away and just say, no. But same with the Texas series. I know you won 3 out of 4, which is great, but you've been chasing Cleveland all year. There's just no freebies, no room for error, no margin anymore. You can't give any of these away. And I think that's why both those games just stung so much more than, say, a game back in, May or June. So what do you think? What do you think the vibes are right now? Because on one hand, again, you've been chasing Cleveland all year. You can't really ever seem to get everyone healthy for even like a 2-3 week stretch. It always feels like, and this just may be a Minnesota sports thing, but like the sky's falling. But at the same time, dude, 15 games above 500. They're well over their pace. We talked about this the other night to hit that over-under win total on the year, 85.5. They're going to smash that. Like, they're 15 games above 500, but it feels like nobody's really that jacked up or excited. You know what I mean? Like, what are the vibes of the Minnesota Twins right now?
I mean, the sky is not falling. Let's just start there because, again, they're probably going to win 91 games like I predicted them to at the beginning of the season. I mean, they just got to go 20-15 over the last 35 games, which is still 5 games above 500, which isn't great, but like, they're in a really good spot, and obviously catching a game on Cleveland tonight is great. I know Kansas City is up 3-0 to the Angels right now, so you're still going to have a tie for second place. But I think if you're, making it this good, I mean, you can't not be upset about these bullpen blunders because that is where you need your greatest strength to be right now, and it's definitely not that. It's probably your starting rotation, even with all the injuries to it. So Yeah, it's a confused.
It's tough. It's weird, dude, because like I don't know whether I have this mindset of like, dude, the luck's gonna run out eventually. They just can't keep this up. Or if they can just get Carlos Correa back, if they can get Buxton back for this final stretch, these last 25, 30 games, they could actually do some serious damage come playoff time. I don't know. Again, I said this last night. Maybe both things are true. I don't know. Rocco report time, game 3 versus the Padres. The Rocco report, it says what?
Well, it was good to get Manuel Marco as a defensive replacement, so he didn't get his official first pinch hit. But, him coming in this game, doing his part, giving some guys a little time off their legs, it worked out well after Kyle Farmer had that pinch hit in there. So I know people are not going to be happy with me saying this, but we got to give Okert his flowers for turning things around. And, today it was someone else imploding in the bullpen, and it was Ronnie Henriquez. So,
yeah, got to take that. Hey, let's take every moral victory we can get at this point, okay? Plenty more deep dive from this one. Plus, we got our nerdy stat of the day. That's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, this episode brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, patience, the formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. In eBay Motors, they got everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to the ultimate peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights. They got it all. And whether you're into speed, power, or style, they got you covered. 122 million parts for your number one ride or die. You'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay's Guaranteed Fit, your part guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay's Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. Okay, new athletic power rankings just dropped this afternoon. Twins actually went up a spot from 9 to 8. The blurb for each team this week is a player who's having a quote-unquote sneaky good season. Want to guess which player they wrote down for the Minnesota Twins?
I would assume Willie Castro.
Carlos Santana.
That's would have been my second guess, yeah.
So here's check out this blurb, and I know you know a lot of this stuff, but some of this stuff is wild. It says no other free agent first baseman has had the type of value that he has had, and that includes the likes of guys like Cody Bellinger, Rice Hoskins, Joey Gallo, Matt Carpenter, et cetera, et cetera. He's got 13 outs above average, which is number one among all first basemen and twice as many as any first baseman not named Christian Walker. So sneaky stud, huh? How did Rocco know he could still be just an everyday impact guy? Because he has been so huge for this team, obviously both at the plate and in the field, man. What a stud, Carlos Santana.
Yeah, no, I know we talked about it the other day. Yeah. I mean, he's just kind of filled this role of combined, what Jorge Polanco and Donovan Solano were both as like leaders in the clubhouse and just like the offensive production that he's been able to put out there. He's kind of filled 2 and 1. And that's been huge for them. I mean, where would they be without Carlos Santana this season? It's hard to say, but I mean, this guy is probably still going to get 20 home runs on the year, 70 plus ribbies. So you got to take what you can get out of him. And like I was saying, I mean, he's still one of the best defensive first basemen, not just in the American League, but in all of baseball. And he's probably going to be getting the Twins a Gold Glove before the season's over.
Yeah, which is crazy to think about if you go all the way back to just our mindset about Carlos Santana, not just preseason, but that first month of the season as well. Jeff calling out a great point. He's definitely outplayed his $5.25 million contract. You think he just keeps taking these like 1 year prove it deals and plays into his 40s for another, 2, 3, 4 years or what? You never know as a GM and coach, like when the drop off is coming. And usually at that age, when it finally does come, it kind of drops off like a cliff, usually more times than not.
Yeah, I think he's going to keep doing it until he can't play no more. I know we just had Joey Votto announce earlier today that he's retiring from the game. And, things were slipping for him in his last couple of seasons, but he was a phenomenal leader within the Reds clubhouse. And even when he was with AAA Buffalo, the Blue Jays affiliate, hoping to play for his hometown team with the Blue Jays, but that opportunity just didn't seem to present itself. Even with a month left in the season, it would have been nice for the Blue Jays to at least give him the opportunity to come up and finish it out for one last ride. But it is what it is. So getting a guy like that, even in his age 38 season, you got to take what you can get.
Yeah, you're playing with house money at that point. Seriously. Nerdy stat of the day. You got some sort of crazy stat or fun analytic Twins related? What do you got tonight? Lay it on us.
I mean, that was Trevor Larnach's first 4-hit game of his career, which is huge. Eddie Julian's first 3+ hit game since the end of April, which feels like a lifetime ago with how his season's been playing out. But both of them getting out there, getting 4-hit games is huge for the Twins offense and was really the difference maker when you got 18 hits and 8 of them are coming from 2 guys. It's just huge. And so they both deserve to have their notice. And
yeah, absolutely. Some great momentum now going into a day off. Hopefully for some of those guys can keep that momentum up and keep this bats rolling into this 9-game homestand. Speaking of, don't go anywhere. We got to preview this 9-game homestand. That's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, tonight's episode also brought to us by Prize Picks. Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 3 million members to date. And for me and my money, it's just by far the easiest. It's the most exciting way to get in on all the action while you watch your favorite sports and you watch your favorite players. All you got to do, so simple. You pick more or you pick less on 2 or more player stats, and you watch the winnings roll in. Baseball season, obviously in full swing. So whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, home runs, you name it, they got it. Take your pick on more or less and add them to your Prize Picks entry today. Plus, they now offer Apple Pay, quick and easy deposits into your account all season long. Download the Prize Picks app. Use code, this is all lowercase, Locked On MLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Okay, can't say it enough. Much, much, much needed day off tomorrow. And then 9 in a row at home in the backyard, Target Field. Cardinals, Braves, Blue Jays. Talk to me about these 3 matchups. What are you most intrigued about when you hear those 3 teams? And give us some kind of games within the games, I guess, or just general notes to keep in the back of our minds coming up.
Well, the Cardinals have not been doing well of late. They've been 2-8 over their last 10 games, and believe it or not, the Cardinals are actually my least favorite team in all of Major League Baseball. Not the Yankees, not the White Sox, the Cardinals. So when I hear that, I just want to sweep every single time.
Well, you got some personal stuff going on here? What's going on? I don't want to bring it up.
Well, I mean, 87. Let's just start with there. And then we can talk about the rest off here. Anyway, Cardinals are slumping at the right time for the Twins. They got one of their younger arms, Andre Palante, who's starting on Friday against David Festa. So it'll be a matchup there that will be intriguing to follow, but we'll see what happens. So I'm the home field advantage there. I don't know how this guy's going to fare for his first ever start at Target Field. So you got to take advantage of that. And then Saturday's game is going to be the most intriguing of this series because it's going to be Pablo Lopez against Sonny Gray.
Ooh.
So, and it's also Carlos Correa giveaway jersey night, and he won't be playing. So, add that to the mix of things.
Dude, wow, unbelievable. So, Cardinals 2-8 in their last 10, so no momentum coming in. Got to take advantage of that. Blue Jays, I just looked up their record. Trash again. Can't just, there's no freebies, obviously, but hopefully you can take 2 or 3 at minimum. That's got to be the hope. Jeff,
it looks like they're going to be
Braves. I was just going to say, Jeff calling out Braves must be pretty banged up to some degree as well. I'll have to
their best hitter and best pitcher are hurt. Acuna's been out for the season since June. Spencer Strider's been out from the season since April. I mean, they're going to probably make the wild card spots, one of those 3 wild card spots in the National League, but they're 6 games behind the Phillies. And I think if the Phillies just catch heat in this final month, it's just going to be impossible for them to repeat another division championship. So catching all these teams at the right time, honestly.
Yeah, and I cut you off. I didn't mean to cut you off. What else were you talking about as far as maybe were you still on Carlos Correa giveaway night, perhaps?
No. The Blue Jays, even though it's still a week and a half out, they've just been skidding along in the wrong direction. They're looking like they're going to drop 2 out of 3 against the Reds here tonight for this most recent series. So it's just not been a great season. They've underperformed expectations. So I guess it's a matter of you're hoping to catch all these teams at the right time. Ideally get to 7-2, 8-1 homestand, but aim for 6-3 at best. So we'll see what comes of it.
Do you think or do you expect we could see a Carlos Correa or Byron Buxton sighting during this 9-game homestand, or what's your gut say on that?
I think it's a possibility Buxton comes back first before Correa. It sounds like Brooks Lee is going to be here in St. Paul tomorrow to possibly start a rehab assignment, as well as Alex Kirilloff, who's been missing for the last 2 months with his injuries. But Buxton, they could activate him and just get the rehab altogether on Friday, which I think he and many other people would prefer, to have him back out in center right away. And Correa, it's just nothing's really clear right now, so I wouldn't expect any of them to be back for this Cardinals series, but I think at least Brooks Lee and Byron Buxton are back for the Brave series.
Got it. Okay. All right. Just something to put in the back of our minds, put on the calendar, jot that down, something to look forward to. David Festa, too, on the mound now for Game 1 Friday. Anything specific you're kind of hoping to see from him just as we continue to get, a little bit bigger and bigger sample size from the rookie?
I mean, just same thing as always. Go out there, give 5 strong innings, hopefully 6 if, you can get a few more quick pitch innings in there and just keep things going. So I think that's the thing. If he can give the bullpen an extra inning off, that's what we got to hope for. But, expect 5 and a fairly good amount of strikeouts.
Last one here real quick, then we'll get out of here. Just quick little updated playoff standing / scenario. Let's just say they can't catch up to Cleveland. I know Kansas City kind of breathing down their neck. Boston not too far behind them. I asked CJ this last night, but I'm curious to hear your ideal matchup, I guess, if they do have to go on the road in round 1. Like, who do they just match up the best against from an X's and O's standpoint, if you will, or just a wins and losses record standpoint, I guess, over the last, couple matchups?
I'd say you have to hope that you actually fall back into the 3rd and final wildcard spot to face Houston on the road and not that 5th spot and facing Baltimore. But if you can get to the 4th spot, ideally, and host the wildcard game against Baltimore, you at least have a better chance. I mean, that's if the season ended today, they would be going to Baltimore. And that's considering how it went in April, it was not great. So
yeah. CJ was talking a lot about this Baltimore matchup. Not ideal. He didn't talk about Houston much, but you're saying Houston, perfect world, Houston's the team you want to play in round 1 if you got to go on the road.
Yeah.
Anything to avoid Baltimore, basically, is what you're saying. Is that what you're telling us?
Yeah, I mean, Baltimore got eliminated immediately, swept as soon as they started their postseason last year to the Rangers. I mean, the Astros have always found a way to make things work to at least get to the American League Championship Series dating back to 2017, but they're depleted. They still might make it in as the AL West champs, but this might be, I mean, I said it last year, but I'm saying it again this year, and I'm going to probably eat my words, but this might be because of all the injuries they have, the players aging, they might actually regress, and hopefully you can eliminate that soon.
Give me one guy who could be a low-key X factor in the playoffs for the Twins, outside of the obvious, Royce Lewis, Carlos Correa. I think it was Trevor Plouffe said on his podcast 2 days ago, Matt Wallner is going to be their playoff X factor. I kind of like that. I dig it. That was before he went off and had 3 RBIs, a home run tonight. Does that one make sense and kind of match up for you? Or is there another maybe low-key X factor for this team that could be huge come playoff time?
I would say if anyone could be an X factor right alongside them.
Just says Kyle Farmer. So
I mean, he did help them win their 1 game against Houston, the ALDS home run. So
how
that's probably got a point.
Yeah.
I think it might just come down to whoever can step up in the bullpen between now and then and just continue a hot streak, whether that's going to be Cole Sands, Jorge Alcala recovering from what he's just gone through, or Caleb Theobald. I mean, he's looking like the best lefty that they have right now because Thunderberg's still hurt. No injury updates on him. We don't have to talk about what happened with Ogert. And, yeah, he had a decent inning of work here tonight. But, yeah, I think it's going to come down to that.
I kind of like where you're going with that, though, because everybody's going to assume somebody with the big bat that comes in and helps, an offensive surge of some kind. Maybe low-key, the X factor's got to actually come not just in the pitching, but in the bullpen specifically, knowing that is kind of their vulnerability and weakness. So I kind of like where you're going with that. We got to get out of here. Always fun talking Twins with you. They avoid the sweep tonight. They snap that 3-game losing streak. They get the bats rolling. Plus, Cleveland loses to New York. So, division lead now 2.5 games. Day off tomorrow. Can you believe it? Then 9 in a row at home in the backyard. Target Field starts with St. Louis. Game 1 Friday. Again, we got David Festa on the mound for that one. First pitch, 7:10 p.m. Huge shout out to all the everydayers out there that always make us your first listen. Rest assured, we're going to be back each and every game right here, breaking it all down. Go check out all Theo's work on X at Theodore Tollefson, plus all the work he's always ripping up over at zonecoverage.mn.com as well. Go like this video, subscribe to the channel, help us get to 8,000 subscribers. That's always much, much appreciated. All right, Theo Tollefson, Luke Inman on X at Luke_Spinman. We'll see you next time. But until then, signing out.